Hello, what's up YouTube? Ron is with another tutorial, and in this tutorial I'll show you guys how you can get retouch very nice and sharp crisp photos in both Capture One and in Photoshop. So basically there are times when we tend to have less of the information or detail to work with, and usually both Capture One and maybe Lightroom or Camera Raw usually have that kind of sharpening option for your images, but I don't think that is really necessary for this very tutorial, because this method I want to show you is going to be helping you have better and sharper photos to retouch. So if at all you use this, it means that you're going to be having more information or more details in your images before doing any retouching processes on them in Photoshop. Basically, we retouch in Photoshop, and maybe Capture One is more of a software that is going to help us maybe do a color grading and those minor adjustments. So before we can go ahead, make sure to hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe if at all you have liked and you have never subscribed to this channel, so that YouTube can push this video to more people out there. So after doing, maybe let's just do a little bit of color grading on this image before we can learn about the technique today. So I'm just going to do some simple corrections to this image. I just don't want to overdo this, because you all know I've been doing so many color grading tutorials in Capture One and both in Camera Raw. So after you have done your basic adjustments to your images, as you can see, under my sharpening is at 0, because this tends to, when you use this option, it tends to sharpen the image in a very awkward way. So after you have done your adjustments in Capture One, you come right here to image and you come to edit with, and this is why you have to pay maximum attention for this tutorial, because when you miss out on this, you're not going to be able to achieve the best results out of your images, and you are going to be working with images that are not going to be having any nice and much detail to work with. So just come to, like what we just did, image, edit with, and come to Adobe Photoshop 2020. That's what I use. So this is why you have to pay maximum attention if at all you want to work with a very nice and sharp image, or an image that has that nice and beautiful detail or skin texture for those that shoot beauty images. So you can see right now we have where it says basic. Under basic, when you want to work with so much information in your photos, I would recommend that you work with TIFF files, because TIFF files are going to be giving you that kind of much flexibility to work with in the images. And of course, you don't want your image to be compressed, so I'll prefer you don't check this, just leave it uncompressed, and leave the ICC profile in RGB 98, and leave the resolution at 300 pixels. The scale is fixed, of course. So this is where the sharpening is going to happen. So make sure that you export your image as a 16-bit file, because this is going to help you work better, like I've just said, and you have more information to work with in the image. So under adjustments, that's why you have to sharpen the images. Remember, when you sharpen it from this option in Capture One, the sharpening may not look nice, but this is more of an intelligent way of sharpening the image. So when you come to this option, it says crop, just leave everything the way it is, and come to where it says sharpening and just choose output sharpening for screen if at all you want a sharp image. And you can as well work without an image that is not looking really sharp if at all your intention is not having so much detail, by turning out or turning off no output sharpening. So for this case, I'm going to be sharpening for screen, because I want the image to be posted on social media or websites and look really nice and sharp with that nice and beautiful detail. It is a question most of you guys have been asking me about why my images look sharper than yours. So this is the secret I'm trying to share with you guys. So just check output sharpening for screen, and when that is done, come to where it says amount. I hope you can see this. And under amount, this is where you do your sharpening. So for this case, I would recommend that you don't go above 15 if at all you want the best out of your images. So when you turn this up slightly, so like I've said, don't go above 15. I'm just going to leave it at around 12, and the radius as the way it is, and the threshold, I'm just going to be using a threshold of 1, and just come to edit variants, and it's going to open my image into Photoshop so that I can work with the skin retouching. I know this is a retouched image already, and I don't want to work with it or retouch it again. So as you can see right now, the image has been sharpened and we have enough information or detail. Let me just zoom in a little bit more. You can see that we have enough detail, and it does not create those kind of halos around all those lines around the model, and that is the best way to sharpen the images from Capture One. So next we want to learn about how to get to retouch. This is not retouching the images after doing skin retouching. This is a step you have to do after you have done the color grading and you want to retouch an image that has that nice and rich detail. So like I said, just come in Photoshop, and this time around I have a JPEG file to work with. So I'm just going to duplicate this background by hitting Ctrl Command J. So assuming that we have a raw file that we are color grading in Camera Raw, I'm just going to come to filter and come to the Camera Raw filter. So this is where we are right now. So it is going to open up my Camera Raw filter. So under Camera Raw, usually this is our interface of the Camera Raw filter. I hope you can see this. And when you want that nice and sharp image to work with, basically you'll have the options on this bottom most area. And since I'm working with this kind of image, I may not be having this kind of output settings. So let me show you guys from a raw file. Let me just come to my finder and look for a file that has that kind of raw file that we can work with. So for this case, I'm just going to get a random image from this folder right here. So I'm just going to get a raw file that we can work with and have more elaboration about. So I'm just going to come and look for just a random raw file. So I'm just going to work with this raw file. Let me work with this one. So I'm just going to open the image into the camera filter by simply double clicking on it to open into the camera filter. I'm just going to cancel this so that I can have my image open. So this is where we are, or this is what I was trying to elaborate to you guys. So even in Camera we have where it says sharpening under the detail panel. So let me just try to get it for you. You can see under detail we have sharpening, but when you want to output a very sharp image after you have done maybe the basic color grading onto it, so I'm just going to do some tiny tweaking around or some small adjustments. So this is the image you have already color graded, and now you want to retouch a sharp and an image that has that nice and rich detail. So just come to this option down here, and when you double click on this option, you can see we have Adobe RGB 98 16-bit. So just come and click on it. So when you double click on it, we have where it says color space. Of course, you prefer Adobe RGB like you have just had in maybe Capture One. And the bit depth, I prefer a 16-bit image. So you can see that we have the option which says output sharpening. So for this case, when you want sharpen for a screen, of course you have to select the option, and now you can either sharpen for maybe print, you have matte and glossy, or the glossy paper, and for the case of social media you have to sharpen for screen. And the amount, it depends on what you really want, but usually I prefer a standard amount. And when you want to work with a very sharper image, you can just come and select high, and when you choose that, just hit OK. So every single time you're in your camera raw filter, this option is going to be activated every single time you open up a raw file in Camera Raw. And when you're done doing that, you can come and hit open so that the image can be open into Photoshop, so that you can go ahead with your final skin retouching and you work with those nice and rich details on the image. So if at all I am to zoom in the image, you can see that we have that nice and rich detail, and the image really looks sharp, and it doesn't have those halo or lines around it. So basically this is how to retouch sharper images in both Capture One and in Camera Raw or Lightroom. And if at all you have loved this, don't forget to like this video and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. If at all you have been watching from this channel for the very first time, Ronix from Ronix Photography, thank you for watching. I'll see you in yet more amazing tutorials, and don't forget to keep practicing and keep creating.